Okay, so we'll jump into it. Our purpose for this meeting for you is to help you learn how to build clay tables 10x faster without getting overwhelmed. We all have been there, wasting credits, wasting time, and not getting the result that you like. So, in order to do that, I will share my presentation with you. It's this one. Okay, so we're gonna talk about how to develop this mindset of creating lean clay tables. The idea is to be able to build faster without getting overwhelmed, without wasting a lot of credits and time. And the problem that we see more often when people start to build their clay tables is that they do it without planning. They do it without knowing what they need to do, the specs of the workflow. But also, when they're navigating the workflow, they get overwhelmed because they don't know where to go. Since they don't have like an objective, like a target, it's difficult to know if you are doing the correct things or you need to iterate or change what you're doing. And that drives you to waste tons of credits and thinking that clay is expensive, although if you manage it correctly, it's not. And waste a lot of hours developing workflows that don't work. So you might think that clay doesn't work for you, but it actually does. So what's the solution for that? In our case, we try to structure a way for you to understand how to approach building clay tables in an efficient way. We call it the lean clay table because it's related to the clean startup methodology. That means that we need to first build something that works as a minimum viable product, and then iterate it and upgrade it. So this is the workflow itself. I will show you step by step, but as you can see, it is not only on clay. It has probably 50% of this methodology, it's outside clay. It's related to strategy, defining the correct problems, and being able to assess the workflows that you will need to reach the correct answer for you. And after you have clarity on what you want to build, only then start building on clay. So let's go dive into it. All right. So this step-by-step process will drive you from defining the problem up to turning on the table. That means that you have an automated system running on autopilot for yourself. But in order to get there, first, you need to define the RevOps problem that you want to solve. The first step is to assess your current strategy, your current status in terms of revenue operations. You might be missing a go-to-market strategy. You might be missing a way to nurture leads, a way to prepare yourself faster for the sales calls. You might lack a process to enrich the CRM. So there are many potential problems that are that you can find in your RevOps, in your revenue operations, in your company. So first, I would suggest you to make a list of all the possible problems that you have and try to identify which one will have more impact on your company if you solve that first. So the idea here is to brainstorm all possible RevOps problems and then identify which one to start with. After you define the problem can be generate more leads, increase top of the funnel. So that's the most usual problem that Clay solves, but there are many other problems that you can also solve. If you're already getting leads, probably you might have other opportunities to improve that will impact on your revenue a lot. When you define that problem, the next step is to explore possible workflows idea. So in this case, for that step in particular, we highly recommend you to explore Clay templates. To review all the content from other Clay experts, to review Clay page, we also have in Automate RevOps a page with experts templates. So you can imagine all the possible workflows that can solve your situation. In some cases, you might find a good fit. In other cases, you already have in your mind the workflow that will help you to achieve the goal that you are trying to achieve. But take that as a graphic. It's a triangle because it's an important part where you have to be divergent. That means that you need to brainstorm any possible idea, talk to other people that work in the same industry, try to leverage your network to find different ideas, thinking about outside the box to identify which workflow could be better for you. And after you define that workflow, you can even score all the possible workflows that you have in mind and determine which one would be better for you. And that means if it is a GTM workflow, who is the best ICP? When is the best time to reach out to them? What's the value proposition that you want to send to them? Which channel do you want to reach out to your leads? Are you using cold email only, or are you adding also LinkedIn outreach? Are you creating content? Determine not only the input, but also the output of the workflow will help you to be able to design the correct workflow for yourself. So I just wanted to show you how workflow design might look. So you can think about possible ways to create your own workflow. We use Miro, but you can use Mural, you can use any tool that helps you to draw a workflow. In this case, this is a workflow that Marcos designed. So if you would like to comment on that, Marcos, I would love to hear you. The idea is that each step have a different action. And as you can see, we also have the tools there.
Yeah, in this case, as David was saying, there is a whole ideation process that happens outside of Clay. So in this case, I used Grok to do keyword research to find the right creators, TikTok creators for a brand. And then I designed the workflow and understood that there was an Apify actor that would help me scrape a list of TikTok videos from a certain keyword. So that's all happening outside of Clay. But then once I like the results that I'm getting on Apify, then I sync all of these records into a Clay table and I start my enrichment process inside of Clay. But yeah, this is a very necessary, initial activity before diving into the platform.
Totally. And defining the tech stack will also help you to decrease the cost of jumping from tool to tool, trying to get the data that you need. And there are two ways of approaching that. One way would be to be on an exploratory phase. But right now, we're thinking about creating a workflow. So when you are creating a workflow, if you want to be efficient on that, you will need to design it first because it will give you clarity in terms of what tools do you need, which process you need to create the correct workflow. So after you have the design,
Yeah.
you can also select it. Yeah, Marcos?
Also, I was going to say that the brief step is to create that how do you say sorry, the,
Design.
the flow, the flow chart, the flow chart with the step on a more theoretical and conceptual way, and then finding out which are the best tools. And sometimes it takes time because you have to test different tools and check on the results from a sample, so then confirm that okay, it is Apify the right tool for this process, for this step of the process, or it is something else.
Totally, totally. And when you start implementing the workflow, you will change the design for sure. I mean, you will notice that some information that you think you can get from one tool, probably you need from another tool, or some step that you didn't think about, like qualifying the quality of a lead, of a company. If you didn't consider that first, and you assume that all the data that you were getting was already qualified, probably you will notice that in some cases you will need to add another layer, another action on that design. But mapping out the workflow will give you clarity and will give you a map to create the workflow really fast and efficient, following the next steps. So after we have the design, we can start, just then, we can start designing the workflow on Clay. And in this case, we recommend you to approach a methodology to first deliver effectivity, a workflow that can run for 10 rows probably, or 20 rows, just a low volume, but really effective one. So you can use the higher, more expensive models on AI to create copy or to create whatever you need. If you need to process data, you can use enrichment processes that are really expensive in this case, because you need to first deliver results. In that terms, you need to approach that as a mindset, because it will help you to first create an effective workflow that would be expensive for sure. It will be expensive to scale that, but first you need to deliver results. If that works, then you can test the effectivity as a loop. Just run a sample, like I just said, 10 rows, 20 rows are the best way to start running low volume data sets, so you can see the results, assess the result. If you analyze the effectivity and you're okay with it, then only then analyze the efficiency of the workflow. But if you are not confident with the effectivity, with the quality of the result, just keep improving the workflow until you get you are satisfied with the effectivity. After you are satisfied with the effectivity, only then analyze the efficiency, and we will show you how to do that in some minutes. But the idea here is that first focus on effectivity, then efficiency, and when you are improving efficiency, probably you will change the quality of the results too, because if you change from GPT-4o to GPT-4o mini, probably the result will be different. So you need to check again effectivity. So it's a loop that you will need to go until you are confident with the efficiency of the workflow and the effectivity of the workflow. And then, only then, we recommend you to turn on the table. Before that, always turn off your tables, because you don't want to waste credits in a workflow that doesn't work. We don't want to waste any API calls on that until you are confident with it. And when you are, you will be ready to click on the right bottom corner bottom that we all know that can waste you a lot of credits, the auto run bottom. Okay, so are we clear on that process? You have any questions on this? You can leave your questions on the chat and we can review them after this talk. So, okay, we already see the design. Sorry, here I just wanted to. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to go through the next part of the presentation, and we'll see some cases after reviewing all the theoretical part first, because it's needed to understand how it works. You have two possible ways of approaching Clay. The first one is to go and explore the tool, explore all the integration with it. That is the best approach when you are thinking about using Clay, thinking about creating a new workflow. And in this phase, we recommend you to try to use each tool in a low volume, try to understand which is the data set that gives you each tool as an enrichment process. You can use credits on those because you will be running in a low volume, so you don't waste credits on that, just exploring the different results and trying to understand which tool is better for you. But then there's another phase that will be an implementation phase. So always consider that in the exploration phase, we recommend you to use credits because it will be cheaper for you to use credits than to subscribing to an external tool and check the results there. Because some of the tools will help you, will need for you to subscribe to a plan, whether it's a monthly plan or whether it's a pay per use, but it will have like a minimum level of usage for you to get the benefit of it. For instance, if you are subscribing to any email enrichment tool, depending the price, you will pay for a slot or for a number of emails enriched. But if you are using credits, you can pay for just 1 or 10 rows, and you will be able to assess the quality of each tool without paying for the plan. So that's a great idea. But after that, when you're trying to implement the workflow, you will understand that subscribing to a tool would be cheaper for you in the long run if you're running a lot of data, a lot of leads, or a lot of company enrichment. Probably you will see that there is a point, that is a break-even point, that we will also be sharing with you a calculator, so you can identify when it is best for you to subscribe to an external tool and connect their API to Clay. Else, just keep using credits because it will be cheaper for you. So you have these two ways of assessing what you are doing in Clay, and then try to understand how to use the credits. When you are in Clay, when you are creating the workflow, you need to, when you are designing the workflow, you need to see the workflow as a workflow that has a starting point and an end point. As a process, any process, if you come from an engineering background, probably you will understand that each process has an input and an output. In this case, it's an enrichment process that will need a sourcing input. A sourcing can be leads, can be companies that you manage to get into your Clay table using any external tool like Apollo, like SailSnap, like Lucia, for instance, or you are sourcing inside Clay using native tools like find leads in Clay, find companies in Clay, find job posts in Clay. So that would be the starting point of your workflow. The endpoint of your workflow, Google Maps also, yeah, it's really powerful too for smaller medium businesses. Then the last step of the workflow would always be an integration as an output. That integration can be sending data from your workflow to an email sequencer tool, a CRM, or any other tool that you want to get the data from Clay, even if you are extracting it by a CSV file. So that will be the endpoint, and this is the starting point. Between those 2 points, it is usual that you get a starting data set and you will be lacking some data before sending the data to the other endpoints. So in that case, you will need to enrich that data, finding email, finding any other data that you need, like company size. You will also have the possibility in Clay to run an AI agent to scrape websites, to scrape databases for you and get more information that you get from initial data set. And after having that data, you'll probably need to process that data. And processing can be done with AI, so you can process data to qualify data. You can use processing to create, for instance, emails, messages for you to send in a campaign. You can use AI to create an scoring system to drive information to different endpoints. So there are many ways to process that data. First, you will need the data. In some cases, the initial data set is enough and you don't need to enrich it further. You just need to process the data and then send it to another endpoint. In other cases, you will need to only enrich the data and send it to the endpoint. But if you're seeing a full complex workflow, probably you will see many enrichment points and many processing points. For instance, you can, starting as a company table, and then you need to enrich companies' data, qualified companies processing that data, and then find leads, and then enrich those leads with their email. For instance, qualify those leads. If they have email, then send it to an email campaign. If you don't have the email, then send it to another tool, like can be LinkedIn, Sequencer, or any other tool that you like. So you will need to know that there are 4 actions, and any action, any column represent a different action in Clay. So that would be an easy way to understand how to use Clay. Then, when you are creating your tables, here we put 5 tips that are really common mistakes that we had at the beginning, and probably many of you had it. The first one is to always turn off the table until you see a result that you are confident with it. So go to Clay, click on this button that says auto update, and turn it off. Okay? Every time that you are creating a new workflow, go there and first turn off your tables. Each time you think about using AI to qualify data or to create new data, first think if you can do that using the formula feature in Clay. Because the formula feature in Clay, it's really powerful, it's free, and it will be faster for you to implement it in many cases. Also, that formula can be helpful to qualify, and we will show you how it's done. use the autodeduct function in Clay. It's a function that will help you to prevent duplicate enrichment. That means that if you have more than one record from the same company, from the same lead, from the same trigger, if you have an enrichment column there, if you don't turn on this autodeduct function, you will enrich that column again, that company, that trigger again. So you will be wasting credits in actions that you already have that data. So turn on the autodeduct will save you a lot of credits. Use complex templates for inspiration only. I mean, like I said before, when you see a complex template, if you copy paste in your workspace and you try to implement it directly to your purpose, probably you will see that they have many connections from different columns. So spending time to understand how those connections works probably will overwhelm you. If you are starting using Clay, it will be more overwhelming than if you are an expert. But even for experts, if you see a template, you need to spend time trying to understand how it works. So we always suggest to see templates as a way to understand what you can achieve and then create your own workflow using the template as a reference only.
There's
Fifth, yeah.
sorry. There's a question about the autodidact. Jared is not seeing it on the Clay table. If you can show it real
Sure.
quick.
If we go to Clay, this bottom on the right bottom corner is the autodidact function. If you click on it, it will help you map which column you want to use as a key identifier of each row. So every time you have the same record in a different row from this column, it will delete the newest row. So for instance, if you are uploading twice the same CSV, or you're uploading two CSV and you have the same records in it, it will delete the older ones, the newest ones, the ones that you uploaded newest, yeah.
The
I ask you a question regarding the duplication. Is there a way to dedupe between different tables?
Well, in that case, you need to see how your table works, but the autodeduct function works per table, so it's a function per table. If you like to autodeduct in different columns, yeah, you can use a lookup formula and you know, take all the data from one table to another and then run the autodeduct on that data that you get from the other table, you know. But it depends on the case.
Question regarding the enrichments. Can we use the Apollo, like such kind of a tools that in the integration to get the data enriched?
I'm sorry, can you use Apollo for what?
Can we use Apollo or such kind of a tools for the enrichment by integration? Is there any way for doing that?
Yeah, if you are subscribed to Apollo, you can add Apollo as a column to enrich companies' data, and even to find leads email or to find leads from a company. Those are the most uses. Yeah.
Okay, but it won't cost us the credit of the Clay, right?
No, yeah, it won't cost you any credits on Clay. So it will run on your Apollo account.
Okay, thank you.
The last tip: verify conditional logic before turning on tables. If you go to any Clay column, any enrichment column, to the settings of it, David, if you want to show how it looks, so we can make it more visual. Go to any column. If you click on edit column, at the very bottom of this model, you will see only run if. That's super important because it's kind of like the conditional formula that would make that column run. And I would add another tip here, which is the auto update, that toggle that you have there. Once you turn on your table, because everything is already tested out and you're confident about what you've built and you're ready to turn it on, but maybe there is a column that is very expensive, maybe it's a column that spends a lot of credits or something like that, and you still want to have some manual control over one specific column, then you could turn on the table but turn off this auto update toggle on a specific column. Then you still have manual step control over that column. Am I clear with that? Was it clear enough?
I think so.
Okay.
Always
On
turn
the only
off the auto deduct first and then turn on the cable, just to clarify that.
Yeah, also, if you click on the only run if use AI button, you'll be able to write the conditional expression, the logical expression that you want the table to meet with your own words. So then it would generate the formula for you. For example, if a previous column is greater than a certain value, that type of logical expression. So if a value from another column contains or does not contain a string of characters. So once you finish up writing it with your own words, then you click on generate formula and you double check on the sample outputs to see if it's working or not. And then you accept the formula or the conditional formula. This is the same use case when you create a formula column, but every single enrichment column has this only run if conditional formula at the bottom, so you have control on when to run a specific column and when not to run.
Totally. So always take in mind those 5 tips when you are managing your tables, and we'll show you some more. So let's jump into the clay tables. Okay, so when we see this workflow and we talk about first being effective, then trying to be efficient, we want to show you some examples so you understand why we mentioned this and why this is important. Let's say you have a database of people. Can be leads, can be your LinkedIn network, whatever. And you want to send those leads to a campaign. You need to first normalize the names or the job titles of those persons, because you won't use that job title as it is in a message, but the normalized version of it. So, for instance, we have here a database of persons, and you have the positions that will be the job titles of those people. Let's say, we have here someone that we know that is today, Ariel, I think he's here. Okay, so let's say we have this position, which is Hype SI founder and CEO. You won't use that in a copy, in a message, because it will be extremely weird to refer to his position as a Hype SI founder and CEO and this emoji here. They will notice that it's automated for sure, and they will also think that you are not, good enough even using these automated tools. So what you need to do instead is to normalize these job titles. And if you go to formula, you can also use a formula to normalize the job title. But in this case, that the job titles are really difficult to normalize because a formula can help you to, for instance, create a function that will only use the job titles in lower caps or use just the first part of the job title. But then if I want to, define in all these words which word it's the one that you need to use in an email or in a message, a formula won't work for you. So you need to be effective. And in order to be effective in this case, since the formula won't work, you need to go to use an AI prompt. So in this case, we created an AI prompt that normalizes the job title and try to also identify which job title it's the one that we should use here. So we have the job title normalization that is on lower caps, and in this case that says Hype SI founder and CEO, just
You gotta go where?
founder.
Oh,
But then we also have a possibility to use the formula and leverage in our favor that we are already running this formula to determine if the job title is related to any category. That can be a department, that can be a senior seniority level of that job title. So you can use that to qualify. So in this case, we have in this column, sorry, let me open that column, the highest job title. That means that if a person has more than one job title, it will help you identify which one is the highest one, and also the department. And we can use the department as a way to qualify those leads, just by understanding if that person works for sales, is an executive, or works for any other department. And the cost of running that can be as low as $0.0001. So if you run a big table, it won't cost you almost anything to be able to not only normalize, but also to qualify those leads. After you categorize them, you can use filters to identify if any keywords that you know that are related to the positions that you want to target are matching, and you can also use keywords to identify which keywords you don't want to see in the job titles. Another way to do that, if you are thinking about a workflow that is really complex and you want to send leads to different channels, call email, cold calling, LinkedIn outreach, but you know that, for instance, LinkedIn outreach has lower limits in terms of how many messages you can send per day or per month than using cold email sequencer tool. So in those cases, you can create different tiers to send the leads that are more qualified, that are more relevant for you, to a multi-channel sequence, and the ones that are less qualified for you to just an email campaign, because email will be cheaper for you. So in that case, and only that case, it's relevant for you to create a qualification prompt. And as you can see here,
Yeah, cheaper. I'm more scalable as well. Just to clarify.
Totally. So if you're running an ABM, campaign, probably it will be interesting for you to score and qualify leads first, because you have low volume messages in your site. Okay, so in this case, running and scoring prompt costs us $0.003. So you can also use that to identify leads that are more qualified and send to different campaigns. So in this case, to be effective, you can start by selecting the model that can be more expensive. In this case, for instance, you can use 4.0, that will be more expensive than using 4.0 mini. And when you are satisfied with the result, only then go to 4.0 mini.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a matter of mastering 4.0 mini only if you are playing a volume game, because we're speaking about a 200 times cheaper model compared to a play credit, for example. So if you master 4.0 mini prompting by, breaking down a task automation into mini steps and giving as many examples as possible for the dumbest model to be more efficient, more accurate on the results, then it's a very, very significant efficiency that you're building, even if you're processing a low volume of records. I was just working on a flow that had only almost 300 records, and using a clay crate, it would cost me $3, and using 4.0 mini would cost me less than $1. So it is definitely a skill to make that 4.0 mini model work on your floor.
And I will add to that we will always recommend you to subscribe to OpenAI API key to Clay, because it will always be cheaper for you to run AI columns on your API key than using Clay credits. The only limitation there is that if you like to run a Clay gen, for instance, you will need to get to tier 3 on your OpenAI API key. That tier 2, Marcos? Okay, tier 2. Okay, so you will need
tier 3.
Tier 3, yeah,
you're right.
Tier 3. And you will need to invest. I think that is almost $50 or $150. I'm not sure, to get to that tier, but you will waste that grades for sure, and it will be way cheaper than running on great credits on the long run. Okay, let's show off this second table. It's your turn.
Okay, this is a TikTok creators outreach system that I presented last week. So this is another example that we were reviewing on the Miro board by the beginning of this session. This is another important tip. Once you are starting out any data source, in this case, we are scraping records from Apify, so we always want to double click on the first column and assess what are the data points that we are starting out with, and really analyze what can be done with the data that we already have from the point A, from the first point of the flow. So in this case, I've got a lot of data that I can play around with, and so the first efficient step would be, how could I filter out based on this initial data so I can just keep the qualified records. Then once I run out of filtering possibilities. And the next mindset would be, thinking would be, how could I combine this data and generate a formula that would give me a specific piece of information that would help me also to filter out and get closer to that qualified audience. So in this case, what I did was, okay, calculating the engagement rate of these creators based on the total likes, the video count, and the follower base that they had. So then I filter out a lot of records. If you see at the top bar, you see 88 out of 2,152 rows. That's the final the final result of all of the filtering I made. But imagine filtering out all those rows using great credits, which would cost you from 3.5 to 7.5 cents each, compared to filtering out, 70%, 80% of these records using 4O Mini, which costs you $0.00001. So it's a significant money saving tactic and mindset. So, okay, so we leverage the data from the initial data set. We leverage the formulas to combine the available data, and then we run AI prompts, probably Agent in this case, because we would to scrape the the TikTok profiles. We would want to perform some Google searches to get info. Actually, in this case, that US only detection was not a agent. It was taking the creator's bio as the input parameter to find out if there was an indicator that this person was not from the US or not. So, some creators put on the bio New York or Germany, or I don't know, any piece of data that refers to their location. So we've been filtering out uh, with for Mini instead of paying a Clay credit to get that data. Because yeah, if you pay a Clay credit, you get it. But the magic here comes when you are able to filter out as much as possible on a very cost efficient way. So then the next step was to qualify the prospect based on the bio and using Follow Mini also. So by this worked by giving as many examples as possible for the model to understand when it's a fit and when it's not a fit for the brand. So anyways, this is like the step by step that I follow. And if you scroll to the right, David, if you scroll to the right, you'll see a formula column that is basically calculating if all of the previous filters were how do you say, if all of the previous filters are met,
Match.
then check this box. Yeah, if they match, then check this box. So this way you could play with only one filter on your clay table, so you don't have a huge list of filters and it gets a little bit messy with the filters. So you put in all of your filters in that calculated formula, and then if you go to the filters, you would only uh, put one, which is if these records are ready for enrichment, and if this ready for enrichment condition is checked. So then we are ready to spend our first clay credit. And if you go to the settings of this column that comes from Modash, which is an influencer data provider that would also give me 20 lookalike creators from a qualified creator, then I would only run this if this previous ready for enrichment condition is checked. If it's not checked, then I don't want to run it because it would be so expensive for me, you know. Also, since it is an expensive column, even though my table is on, I would always turn off the update until I am 120% sure that everything is working fine. Yeah, I think I'll stop here because of the time, but I think that
we cover a lot of tips today. So we also have, and we will be sharing with you a calculator that can help you understand when is the best time to invest in subscribing to any external tool and connect it to Clay. This is a way that you can use and understand for your needs when it's better to subscribe, for instance, to the Tagma to get an email, or just using credits. And the last asset that we will highly recommend is using this GPT that's called Prompt Engineer to help you increase the effectivity and efficiency of your AI prompts for qualification, for creating AI messages, for scoring, and for so on. So that will be all for today. We also share with you that you need to plan ahead, you need to test small, then scale, and you need to focus on effectivity first and then efficiency. And as a bonus for you that remains to the last of this workshop, and we're really happy to have you here. We'll send you not only the recording, but also a Clay beginner guide that includes the notes from this meeting, so you can start implementing it right away and see value on that. So that'll be all. Thank you for staying up to now. If you have any questions, we can have like 5 more minutes, Marcos, right?
Yeah, we can stay if you have any questions. Thank you so much for joining. Feel free to reach out by on LinkedIn, and also happy to have you in our Slack community as well. I'll share the link for you to join the Slack community for the ones that are not there still. There is the link, so just feel free to join. And thanks
Marcus,
so much.
sorry, I was asking previously if I can get access to the meeting which happened in Feb. There were some links. And would you share this recording? Any chance you share this recording later? This pre-recorded session?
Yeah.
But you know, I didn't receive any of the recording.
We will
I
upload
wasn't there on 6th of March, so I missed the 6th of March, and I wanted to watch the 6th of March.
So I invite you, Michael, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we are uploading the content there.
Oh, okay. It's on YouTube, so I can find you there. Right. Okay.
Yeah, we are trying to implement that channel this year. So if you are on YouTube, you are using YouTube, please subscribe. There you have the link. Marcos, just write it down. And we are creating a lot of content, so just follow us on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We have other solutions for you if you like to know about how to implement Clay for your company. We have a Clay coaching program, and we also have a playbook, which is a self-learn comprehensive guide, so you can start implementing all those tips and be able to create your own workflows in no time. So if you are interested in any of those, just reach out to us. We are happy to share all our knowledge with the community.
Sure, great. One last question. Can I get access also to the last, because I think this is the third session, right? Since February, because you started it. I was on the first one, second one I missed. This is the third one. Am I correct?
I think this is the fourth one.
No, it's the fourth one. Okay, so then I missed two of them because I thought I attend one, but I missed this on the 6th, and this is that. So this is the fourth one.
Yeah, we'll be sharing all that on the YouTube channel, Michael. So subscribe to there, and you will see when it's ready. You will see the video because we also need to edit it.
So the previous one you have already uploaded. The previous one.
Yeah,
it's already uploaded. Yes.
Sure, great. Okay. Fine. No worries, guys. Thank you. I appreciate.
Thank you.
Brilliant presentation.
Thanks, everyone.